I'm Miss Jamie with the Tacoma Public Library. I'm a children's librarian. You may have seen me at the Moore branch or the Kobatich branch or out and about in the community. It's good to see you all today. I wanted to share some fun stories and a couple rhymes and songs with you today. So today we'll get started with our hello song. So I like to start with saying hello. Please feel free to join me. You can clap along, pat your knees, anything that makes you happy. Well, hello everybody, how are you? Well, hello everybody, how are you? It's such a lovely day, I'm so glad you came to play. Well, hello everybody, how are you? Hello everybody. So we're going to get started today with a fun book. This might be a character you recognize and it might be new, you never know. I do want to share also, it's a great idea to make reading a regular part of your daily routine that helps our kids learn and grow and explore and get ready for kindergarten. And it's a fun bonding time too. So you are welcome to read any book you want. Any book is a fun book. This book right here is called Mooncake, and it is written by Frank Asch. So there's lots of books that has this character in it, so you might find some more of those. This book was published by Scholastic, and this is actually a book that I had when I was a little kid. One of my favorites. One summer night, Bear and his friend Little Bird sat down to watch the moon. What do you see there? It's a nice clear sky, isn't it? Yeah, got our moon. After a while, Little Bird said, "I think I feel hungry." "Me too," replied Bear. "And you know what I wish? I wish I could just jump up and take a bite out of the moon. How delicious would that be?" "How do you know?" chirped Little Bird. "Maybe the moon doesn't taste good at all. Maybe it tastes terrible." Bear thought for a moment. Then he went inside and got his bow and arrow. With a piece of string, he snatched a spoon and attached it to the arrow. What do you think he might do there with that arrow? Then he went outside again, and he shot the spoon at the moon. Did it get very close? "I knew that wouldn't work," said Little Bird. "The moon is just too far away. What you need is a rocket ship." "Then I shall build one," said Bear. The very next day, Bear went to the junkyard and bought everything he thought he would need to build a rocket ship. What do you think you would need to build a rocket ship? See what he has there in his wheelbarrow? Can you think of some other things you might need to build a rocket ship? All summer long, Bear and Little Bird worked and worked. But when fall came, the rocket ship was still not finished. "I would like to go with you," said Little Bird, "but winter is coming and I must fly south with the flock." So Bear and Little Bird said goodbye. When it began to get cold and the leaves fell off the trees, Bear got sleepy. But instead of climbing into bed and sleeping through the winter, he kept right on working. He worked and worked until the rocket ship was all finished. What color would you paint your rocket ship? Then he climbed inside and began the countdown. Can you count with me? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. But before he reached 1, he fell asleep. He slept and slept and slept until one night the wind knocked over his rocket ship. Bear had never been awake in the winter before. When he opened his eyes and saw all the snow, he thought he was on the moon. He climbed out of his rocket ship, scooped up some snow, and made a little mooncake. Then he tasted it. It tasted like something he had tasted before, but he wasn't quite sure what it was. What do you think it tastes like? While he thought about that, he decided to go for a walk. He didn't want to go too far because he was afraid that he would get lost. So he just walked in a big circle. After a while, he came upon his own paw prints in the snow. There's his foot paw prints right there. 1 and 2. These paw prints are too big to belong to a moon mouse or even a moon raccoon, thought Bear. Maybe they were made by a moon bear, or perhaps, he shuddered, a terrible moon monster. Bear felt scared. He ran back to his rocket ship. He prepared for takeoff. And he began the countdown. Time to count with me again? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And again, he fell asleep. This time, he slept until spring. One day, his friend Little Bird returned and woke him up. "How is everything down south?" asked Bear. "Just fine," said Little Bird. "Did you go to the moon?" asked Little Bird. "I sure did," said Bear. "And how did the moon taste?" asked Little Bird. "Was it terrible?" "No," replied Bear. "It was delicious." The end. Now I have a fun little song that we can sing with that one. This is our rocket ship song. And there's lots of fun ways you can do this rocket ship song. You can do it with a scarf in your hand and throw it up in the air. You can jump up and down and launch yourself in the air. So this one goes like this. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we're going very soon. If you want to take a trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Let's go ahead and do that one more time. And you can experiment doing it different ways. Jumping, throwing a scarf or something, or maybe a ball in the air as well. Let's try that again. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we're going very soon. If you want to take a trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! I have one more fun story to share with you today. This one is another one published by Scholastic. This is Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. And it was written by Candace Fleming. It's a fun story here, especially if you like rabbits or vegetables or gardening. It's just a fun story. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables and gobbling them all up. Can you gobble your vegetables with me? But he never once tried it until... "This spring," said Mr. McGreely. "This spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden." So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Do you see anyone else that's watching his garden grow? "Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy," said Mr. McGreely. "I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies." But one night when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. 1, 2, 3. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. Do you think that'll work? And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. Those flop ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. Do you think that will work? And the sun went down and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 pat. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. Do you think that will work? And the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 pat. Dive, paddle, splash, splash, splash. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked and sawed and stalked and drilled and filled and trapped and locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing behind the small wire fence, outside the tall wooden wall, before the deep wet trench, all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it, they can't get under it, and they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now. Do you think that will work? And the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 stop. The 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them, and tippy, 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 pat, the bunnies hopped away. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. I beat the bunnies! He whooped and did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, sighed Mr. McGreely. At last! Smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. What do you think he found inside his basket? Muncha, muncha, muncha! The end. The bunnies figured out how to get in, didn't they? Do you think they'll end up being friends with the farmer now? Maybe. That's all we have time for today. Thank you again so much for joining me for story time. And please remember to check out our library's website and our social media for more fun things that are going on. And we have lots of fun databases to keep you busy on our website. One of my favorites is Teachables. You can have a lot of fun exploring different printable worksheets on there. You can search by theme. You can even search by standards if you're homeschooling your kids as well. It's a great website. If you have any questions, reach out to us, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So let's say our goodbye song. We wave goodbye like this. We wave goodbye like this. We clap our hands for all our friends. We wave goodbye like this. Have a great day.